guys. Oh my god, hi. What a joker. Oh, I went way too deep for that. Uh, Gotta channel my inner getting caught at the movie theater. There we go. How we doing? How we doing, guys? Uh! I might get some more seagull footage this weekend, if I'm lucky. Thanks for the glizzy, Saru. Ew! Fleshy. Let's not guzzle all the coffee all at once. God. I woke up dizzy this morning. I stayed dizzy until about 2. It was fantastic. You must, considering the last streak I saw you had. He hates me! Yeah, I woke up as dizzy. I'm a ladybug now. I just said not to. Where's the water bottle I can guzzle? Oh, well, fuck it, we ball. I didn't even forget the fish. Yeah, you're fine, ma'am. Enjoy your lurk. How was it being old and dried up and... Oh my god! Somebody call an ambulance. Holy shit. God damn. Pro streamer, by the way. Yeah. Ooh, an Oreo Chromis. There's cookies in that fish. Oh, Noodle, have you been doing any more fishing in Final Fantasy? Or have you just been doing the combats? A bit. So guys, listen up. I'm gonna bring Mike Kuhn. I'm gonna bring Mike Kuhn into frame a bit because I need to talk to you guys like real close. Stupid pop filter. We hate the pop filter. Need to get y'all real close. Level 62, so what, 2 more boat trips? Why? RM question. Ooh, the hotline is calling. The tech support hotline is calling, doing class quests, and when I come near during MSQ. Yeah, the class quests are kind of fun. Not everyone thinks so, but I think so. I think they're quite good. As far as gathering quests go, lots of fish puns. We love the fish puns. How many -2s have you given the quest text, or did you just skip it out of principle? Why do I have 11 pings? What happened? Never mind. Haven't seen any. Dude, the first quest is full of them. They must be too good for you. Like the first one is the initial quest is just full of them. And most of the dialogue after that has at least one. So I think you might just be missing it. Snacks needs tech help. I wouldn't be sabotaging stream for anybody else. Yeah, the first one was mega skipped in time to get into the ocean fishing. Oh yeah, I needed to talk to you guys like real close. I really am just gonna flip this out of the way. There we go. I need to talk to you guys. There's a guild that I am in, or rather, I could be in 2 minutes. They love me over there. And we could get a full alliance-sized party for the boat. And see what that does. Just a thought. Just a thought. Oh, man. I think that would be kind of chaotic. But it's a small bonus, but it is there. That the better the boat does regarding the missions, the better the bonuses you get for everybody. And like these days, the boats are barely cracking like 100% bonus. And I remember times when the boat got up to like 130, 140% bonus. I wonder if you had a more organized party, if you could force it, because there are exactly 2 people on the boat. There are exactly 2 people on the boat, 2 kinds of people on the boat. People who don't have hardly any of their fisher kit and don't care, and they're there to get levels, and they're there for literally no other reason. And then the people who are addicted to fishing as a class, and their main is fish, and if they could take it into Savage, they would. And those are exactly the 2 kinds of people on the boat, and I'm going to let you guess which one outnumbers the other. I'm going to let you guess which one outnumbers the other. So if you got some organized people on the fishing boat, I think you could make some magic happen. I need to test it, but I can't test it unless I have all those people. So I might join the guild back in a little bit. Once I've decided I'm actually like back. Once I've decided that I'm re-upping my subscription for more than a couple of months, I'm going to rejoin that guild and I'm going to be like, hey fellas, we should stack for the boat. Ocean fishing is fun and chill. The first time my son was in there and the first spectral current happened, he flipped his shit. He was like, what the fuck is happening? And I'm like, fishing. He didn't like that answer. Oh, that's serious. Snacks is having some serious issues, but I can't get into those right now. Your first spectral is always special. Your spectral cherry. Fishing up my first spectral current, the run I got over 10k got me at half mast. Yeah. Yeah. They're fun, but like, I don't know how much I want to spoil about fishing. You do some crazy shit as fishing goes on. It's like, what do you mean sky fishing? What the fuck do you mean sky fishing? What do you mean? It's like, why can I fish here? This is a puddle. Why can I fish here? But by the way, be careful. You saw Aether fishing? Yeah! Bro! There are some fishing holes is like, how? My lure is taller than this water is. How am I fishing in here? There's a special, like in Heaven's Word expansion, there's a really bad one like that in the Heaven's Word expansion. There's a couple of those in that expansion actually. You're fine, Snacks. I don't know if you're watching, but you're fine. You're fine. But yeah, so now that we've got everybody here, let's talk about Offkai a little. But first, I have something to show you guys. I might make this a regular thing. You guys ready? You guys ready for this? It's time for Unk memes. It's time for Unk memes. This is your Unk meme for the day. Let's fucking go. I'm back from checking out Squid Daddy. I don't know if I should ask you what you meant by that. Oh yeah, Nero references this semi-regularly. At least that's what I recall. I recall him referencing this. I only knew that as the Michael Phelps meme. Whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know what the Michael Phelps meme is. You're gonna have to help me out. Unk doesn't know. Did this turn into something else? Did this turn into something else? Ooh. Kissing that S. That mouth is getting dry. This was never the Michael Phelps meme. What are you talking about? Like, I've seen pictures of him where his back muscles are essentially bat wings, but like, that's just a picture of Michael Phelps. Sometimes musical style is a bit too locked in. It's like, you immediately know if you're watching a Jerry Goldsmith or Danny Elfman movie. Like, immediately. Like, within a few notes. Night Rain? I have no idea what you're talking about, chat. I really wish I did. I'm a shark, I'm a shark. Suck my dick, I'm a shark. Anyway, back to this. We're going to talk about Offkai. we... Domain 1. Now, what I mean by Domain 1 is the body of knowledge for the CISSP exam is divided into 8 domains. And Domain 1 is the management domain, essentially. It is the risk management and business practices domain. So we get to talk about stuff like reputational damage and PR and business continuity plans and all sorts of stuff is in Domain 1. So the Offkai issue is a Domain 1 issue. So, what is the Offkai issue? All right, so for those in chat that do not know, Offkai is a VTuber. Ooh, that's too thick for this list. A little bit down a little bit. Is a VTuber focused convention out in California. Why are they all in California and Texas? I don't know. I guess there's one going on in Atlanta right now that I really wish I was at. That was the, that's actually the first con I've wanted to go to, but probably wasn't a good idea for just one panel. But I was very curious about that panel. That would have been CEPs. All right, we're going to go on D&D mode on the phone. Too many important things are happening. I'm sure when I pick that up after stream, somebody's building will literally be on fire. So, a few facts about this con, which we'll talk about, because I'm not a con goer, as I just admitted to. I think they're kind of lame, honestly. Sent you an important DM on your phone, by the way. And what I mean by I think they're lame is, like, I personally think they are lame. I don't think you are lame if you go to them. What I mean is, they don't got a whole lot that I want. I don't want to meet strangers, like, in my hobbies. My hobbies are not really anime or VTubers. Like, I know a bit about VTubers. I'm definitely more than a tourist, but it's not like my main thing. Like, photography's a main hobby. What else? I guess you could say gaming. Oh, so you hate Nero? Sure. But you can have, like, non-main hobbies. Anime hasn't been my hobby since 21 years ago. Oh, yeah. Hey, guys. Age check in chat. How many of you have heard the phrase Japanimation? Unironically, like, not as a tongue-in-cheek, not as a, like, somebody said that, and that's the word they used instead of anime. Like, just stone cold. Because this is the era I grew up in. We were just starting to say anime, but we really just did not know how to enunciate it. Like, we were that new. We were that tourist. And being a tourist is kind of important to today's topic. So we're going to put a little pin in this, and we'll come back to it. We know, Spicy! I did ask. I did ask. But we were just starting to say anime, and we kind of really didn't know how to say it. Like when you're on a 4chan board and you call them memes or memes. Kind of like that. But they are marketed as family friendly. This is important. Uh, 13 plus is allowed. There is an R, well, that shouldn't be a slash. There is an adult section. I need to unfancy my lowercase f. My daughter thought it was an S, and it nearly got her locked out of her account. Because I manage all of their accounts, so they don't really have the passwords. And she hasn't memorized one of her new passwords yet. So I wrote it down for her, and she thought my F's were S's, and it nearly got her locked out. So that was fun. So I gotta cut that out. I gotta cut that out. So that is what Offkai is. Let's take a few facts here. I wish I could like flip that to the side. I probably can just do that, but I won't. I'm gonna go to a new page. New page time. So now that we know what Offkai is, we're just gonna put them over here again. Actually, let's start now. What's a regular F? The upside down J hook F? Is that what people use? The upside down J hook? Is that what normies use? We're going to talk about normies too. Oh, that's slightly scaled off. Good to know. That's slightly scaled off. I don't have the scaling quite right. Oh, almost did it again. I said it. Oh no, I have said it again. Dude, I showed my son for the first time Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail. And the amount of times he was like, "Oh, that's where that comes from," was fantastic. He was like, "Is that where this is from? Was that where the violet rabbit is from?" Blah 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 blah. That the girl can learn the difference since she wants to learn cursive. No. My curved S is nothing like a cursive S, but yes, she can learn. Or my cursive F. Oh my god, they're even phonetically similar. Fuck. That's a problem. See, it actually is a problem, because my little fancy Fs do look enough like S's that somebody her age, if I short stroke that cross, that is an S. It's a fancy S, but that's no longer an F. And that's kind of what I wrote on the paper. Like, it's not her fault. This is me. That's a me thing. That is my fault. Uh-oh, Offkai. Yeah, we're gonna have some takes because everybody is wrong. Yeah, we're talking orgies. We are totally talking orgies. I had to put the, uh-oh, stinky. I had to put the sexual themes tag back on my stream. Also, welcome in, JP. I looked over at my phone, and I saw, like, the 13 messages. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah. 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 Now that you're here, now that we're alone, you know, I'm gonna brag to chat. You know, I'm sliding into JP's his DMs. I'm getting it. One day he's gonna be mine. It'll be our little secret. Anyway, so Offkai. What, Noodle? I'm taking you to Coco Cabana. Don't you get jealous? Don't you get jealous? There will definitely not be consequences of the yandere variety for saying all of that into the microphone on a public stream. That definitely won't happen. Anyway. So, Coco Melon were like... That's right, Noodle did not even get my Abbott and Costello joke. Youngins. Bro, ain't that always the way? Ain't that always the way to easily distract them is with tentacle monsters? Dude, guys, if you ever want to distract your wives and get away with murder or fucking their husband, just distract them with tentacle monsters. It works every time. Every time. What? What? Don't tell me you're going to object, waifu. Don't tell me you're going to object. Secrets? Secrets. Strategic squid in the freezer. Secrets. Secrets. You. No, you said don't give them the secrets. They're not secrets. So I'm following your rules. I'm following your rules, because nothing about what I said is secret. Just... Yes, I didn't take out the trash. However... Have you ever thought about what the Kraken from Pirates of the Caribbean was capable of? Oh yeah. That's probably regional. And I will say it's both ways here. Chat, Caribbean or Caribbean? Caribbean or Caribbean? Because it's both here. Davy Jones's cocker. Like, I know how Kermit says it, because, like... Caribbean, that's right! Hell yeah! Raise hail, praise Dale! Fucking love it. So, we established what Offkai was. We'll just go back to that slide real quick. And then... Here's what they did, okay? So they had a couple of sponsors. I didn't know the lightning strike was in the music part of that track. They took on some sponsors. Some of them were 18 plus. As far as I'm aware, this is an every year thing. Again, not an Offkai expert, not a con expert. I'm going based on what I am told. And I noticed something, so if anyone has ever been to Offkai, feel free to correct me, because even with the most generous interpretation of what is going on here, there is some problems related to Domain 1. So, there's a plus 13... Children can get into this. Teenagers can get into this, and we'll go over that. But there seems to be some disagreement on the interwebs between whether or not there is an unattended pass. I believe that requires some sort of... The way I hear it is you can give some sort of waiver to Offkai and a special badge for your teenager, and then children as young as 13 can be unattended in the con. But I've also heard that that's wrong and that they have to be there with a parent. So we're going to go with that. The way I sees it. Yeah. We're going to go with that one because it's the most generous interpretation of what I've been seeing about the Offkai thing. But if anyone knows for sure, like you've been there, that the unattended child thing is a thing, let me know. I have never heard of that, but I wouldn't be terribly surprised. I wouldn't be terribly surprised either, except for the next bits, because this is where it starts getting a little irresponsible. Okay, so they have an 18 plus section, so the 18 plus sponsors typically go there. And that's fine. Now, I don't know how the 18 plus section is roped off, but I feel like that's a detail that at the end of the day doesn't matter. Exclamation point fish, by the way. Lurl, exclamation lurl. Because back in my day, y'all don't know this, but back in my day, when we rented movies from stores, we'll just call that Blockbuster. Who am I kidding? We'll call that Blockbuster. There were more than just Blockbuster, but we'll call it Blockbuster. Oh yeah, the reason I didn't call it Blockbuster is because they didn't have that section. Movie rental joint. They also had plus 18 sections. But those were like covered up by loose beads. What do you mean Blockbuster? Like with a space? I didn't use a space. Oh, Redbox? Nice. Nice. Kinda like, it's like a Redbox, but it's a whole ass store and people run it. Family Video! Oh my god, that takes me back. Oh, fuck, I forgot about Family Video. Shit. Big ass fish. Count Quackula. That's a 2-kilogram fish. Hey, Snacks, what's up? We're talking about Offkai. So, straight up, JP caught a duck called Count Quackula. My face would, yeah. So, this is going to be very sound-biteable. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to be talking about this topic with as much nuance as I think it deserves, which means if you were like some jerk ass like CNN, you would have a lot of things to take out of context. So if you see an opinion that's like, well, you know what? Feel free to challenge me on my opinions, because there's probably a chance there was earlier established context that I'm kind of glossing over. Like, I'm already flipping back to the earlier slide. My son just, like, yelped. He's also playing Subnautica 2. He just yelped. I heard it through the wall. Something made him jump. Anyway, we had like the bead curtain. All right, some of these were like, yeah, there's an 18 plus section, but the only thing between you and catching a glance at the bare covers of the movies that also show bare tits and everything else is a bead curtain that you can easily see through. And that wasn't just the movie rental place. If you go to a local... God, that's too big of a brush. So, like, if you go to ye local sex store in my area, they're required to card everybody that walks in. But they're not required to I guess both of our children are playing Subnautica 2 then. Yes. Hey Nero, what's up? We're talking about Offkai and things you see as a child. So if you go to Ye local sex store, they're required to card you, but you have to go inside for them to card you. The song is distracting. I was not expecting this one. Oop. Oh, that's also, and that one. Geez, do they just go through these? Oh, they do. Hold on, let me get past the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. Go inside? Don't mind if I do. Yeah, so what you would do if you were really bored. Again, this is probably not something kids do anymore, but I'm trying to establish that context as like a very old Gen Y, and depending on who you ask, Gen X. If you got really bored, what you would do is you would go in and be like, oops, I guess I'm not supposed to be here, and then catch an eyeful of everything you could before you walked out. And you can still do that. There's much easier ways to access that stuff these days. Like you... Oh, God. And I promise this will be important later. But anyway, we have had plenty of ways to catch eyefuls of this stuff in areas we weren't supposed to. So I'm not really... Thanks for that, waifu. I'm not really concerned about how good the 18+ barrier is in the 18+ section. I think that's a red herring. That's a detail that at the end of the day doesn't matter. What matters is if they don't even try to police that. And I've not been to Offkai, but like the difference in between what cons say they do and what they actually do is pretty big. Pretty big. Run in and face plan to a dildo. Like, I mean, you probably can't get that close. At least, not when I was doing it. You ever notice that none of the people who work at the sex shops are hot? Has anyone ever noticed that? Like, none of them are hot. At least, not in my town. I pop in and see Ye local sex store. That's why you have to run. Thanks. Truke. Is that like a truth nuke? Truke. We'll pretend that was a truth nuke and not a typo. All the hot chicks were at smoke shops? True. True. My sex store Bessie is hot. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. My Gen Z brain means I must abbreviate all things. I was the hottest person at my sex store. I believe it. Honestly, I believe that. Now, don't get me wrong, waifu. She's a wood out of 10, but fellas, we know how low that bar is, don't we? We know how low that bar is, don't we? We can be honest here, right? We can be honest. We can be honest. I don't know how to take you believing me. Yeah, wood isn't a great measure. I don't want to be the example of sex store people not be... Wood out of 10? So she's alive. My wood isn't quite that low, but it's kind of close. There are not cute girls at the local sex stores anymore. Waifu. 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 There never were. There never were. None of your really hot friends worked at one. She doesn't have to be alive, to be honest. Wood is pretty... Your wood is pretty low. God damn it. Love my chat. So, point is, kids already have avenues to do this at real places. I say that we don't bitch about that too much, but I'm not sure how, ooh, excuse me, I'm not sure how that would play out these days, because the culture has changed. The culture has changed a lot. So I'm not sure that, you know, family video could get away with the bead curtains in the current climate. Bro, they have sex stuff at Wally World. They do! And at CVS. It's weird. It's so weird because, like, can I throw something into this from personal experience? Yes. We're getting to that part. I haven't dropped that part of it. I mean, people do, but I have a nuanced take on that one. I have a twofold take on that one. They definitely sell butt plugs at the CVS. Fuck, it came too quick. I want to leave that one. You put that one out for me to bite. I'm not biting that. I'm not biting that hook. There's no bait on that hook. It's just a hook. Let's see. So yeah, so one of the sponsors is Fansly, which I am not afraid of saying on stream. Oh, right. I need to test something for Ale. The position. There we go. That's the test. At Hustler, there is an adult-only sex section. It is just the hardcore porn and, like, heavy kink stuff. You can see tits in the all-ages section and dick-shaped candy in the gag gifts. What do you mean the all-ages section? Because, like, our Hustler just did a thing. Because I'm getting to that, because I don't think they were compliant with our laws. It might be Ovi position. Because it is Ovi. I'm just a bumpkin, and I say ovipositor. Yeah, all ages at Hustler. Let's back that up. So there is an all-age section, and I don't think that's compliant with Florida law, because they made it very, very tiny now. But our store, when we first walked in, like, maybe a year ago, they didn't card us until after we started wandering towards a certain section that had, like, some red rope around it. Yeah, you don't get ID checked at ours, and you won't get kicked out. You just can't go to the back without being... Yeah. The problem is this was a completely open floor plan. You could see everything. But they didn't card us until we tried to walk to the section with all the toys in it. Obviously, we don't look like youngsters. But that's not the point. You're supposed to be carded in Florida the moment you walk in the store. And that's like the rules. Anyone can be in the front. Yeah, the problem is not in Florida. In Florida, you must be carded at the door. And they kind of do that now, but they didn't start that way. And I was very surprised the first time I walked in and was not immediately carded. And you can also, they also do not have blacked out windows. They also do not have blacked out windows, which everyone else is required to have frosted windows or opaque windows. So you can just see everything from the parking lot. Oh yeah, this is Oklahoma. Anyone can go in sex shops. That's really weird for the deep red Midwest. I'm not gonna lie. That is very surprising. The front of the store was nothing but clothes and lingerie. Yeah, but like, I mean, every 14-year-old has walked to the back of the Spencer's, no problem, to get a peek. So JP, in the distance past, Spencer's couldn't do that either. It is only very recently really weird for the Midwest. Do not post the map! The reason Hustler has to ID in the back is because the law's about them being a hardcore pornography distributor. Like I said, if you sell anything adult-oriented, like toys, pornography, hardcore or not, even softcore, I guess not sex toys anymore because those are just like in CVS now, but if you sell pornography, you have to card at the door. But yeah, you can see everything from the street, and most shops in Florida are required to have frosted windows. All of the ones I've ever seen have had frosted windows. And they wouldn't all do it unless they were required. Our beer might be pissed, but we can show tits to the kids. I hate it here. Anyway. There's a vape shop, lingerie store about 30 minutes from me. I was confused when I drove past it the first time. Yeah. All our local shops. Yeah. Might as well make titty milk into beer. True. So, problem 1. This is back to domain 1. People are raised different. And have different environments. That's PR 101. There are some reactions people could be expected to have. Add in Starbucks and this is my dream store? I know, right? People raised different. Coffee shop dildo store? No, you wouldn't. At the Texas-Oklahoma border, go 1 mile into Oklahoma casino, 1 mile into Texas porno shop. Imagine a store with those gaming setups like the old Walmart ones, and it's also a hentai outlet. Applause. We call those preview booths. I'm just saying. But no, you're right. Shout out at DW's Porn Barn. But I know what you mean. That's not quite what the preview booth is. But that would be funny. That would be funny if you... God, what if you started an anime-focused 18+ store where you had those and it was just hentai and there was no 3D anywhere? You think that would be you think that would be good with the Zoomers? Like there's just you just start a store called 3D PD and there's toys in there and stuff, but there's no lingerie or anything, nothing for 3D, nothing for fleshies. Just nothing for fleshies except the toys. Maybe you could have the lingerie, but it would all be moe flavor and stuff like that. And yeah. You'd have the yeah, I'm not going to get too far into that. I think we all agree on what this would look like. You just call it 3D PD. And if you know, you know. Anyway, so Fansly, I've got mixed feelings about the Fansly thing because Fansly throws out a lot of money. They throw out a lot of money. R34 posters. Speaking of posters, and this tangent, we will stay on this tangent because this is a fun conversation. I know I've said this in chat before, but again, the culture change. We've had a major culture change. Waifu, you need to remind me to actually check this out the next time we're there, but I haven't seen it. And it used to be prominent. Back in my day, teenagers were basically expected to have posters of half-naked women in their room. Sometimes completely topless. I don't remember any bottomless, but sometimes topless. Covered, but topless. And you could buy those in Walmart. You could go to Walmart, buy a shotgun and a titty poster. Your parents would have frowned upon that? Yours might have, yes, but it was very culturally acceptable. In my day. It was very culturally acceptable. This used to be a real country. I saw no posters for sale like that recently. Yeah, I haven't seen posters like that in well over 10 years. Maybe 20. Like, those disappeared almost overnight. Oh yeah, sneaking away from your parents at Walmart to go look at the girly posters? Yes! Okay, so if Nero's old enough to know this experience, then then it wasn't 20 years ago. Well, I guess actually... I guess actually, yeah. Yeah, never mind. It could have been 20 years ago when I started seeing this disappearing, actually. But yeah, that was the whole thing you did. You sneaking away from your parents to go look at the girly posters. Absolutely you did. I'm 27. I don't think I've ever seen those available at Walmart as far as I can remember. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know you're trying to provide me with like an age vector for when that disappeared. And I appreciate that. But in the before times, this probably has something to do with the Child Online Protection Act. Which I believe that was a Bill Clinton thing. I'm 29 and I do, so yeah, about 20 years. Yeah, I got it right, as if I didn't live through it, as if I were guessing. Yeah. So I got it right. Wow. I saw it in first person and I got it right. Ooh, Nostradamus over here. So yeah, about 20 years ago and prior, you could go into Wally World and look at the nudie girly posters and fantasize about like which handgun or shotgun you would get for Christmas that year to go hunting with. So anywho, I prefer my women 2D anyway. There were those two. Fun fact. They weren't anime, but they were 2D. Those did exist. Yeah. Also, JP, pretend I said something sexually harassing to her. What are you doing? We used to be a real country, man. It's a poster. They are 2D. I wanted to go there. I decided to go against it because I remembered there were the cartoons. I showed my son that, actually, when we were on the USS Alabama. I pointed out, do you see all these girly posters in these barracks? I want you to remember that that was normal. Yeah. Thanks. But yeah, when we were at the USS Alabama, I was like, you see how they have all those girly cards up in their living spaces? That used to be a very normal thing, and I want you to remember that, is what I told him. And he's like, yeah, I was noticing that. I'm like, I'm sure you were. It's not even like they were that risque. I mean, they were for the time, but he noticed. Pinups were hot, and we're gonna get into that because pinups are still a thing. Pinups are still a thing. I saw a tweet the other day that was like, man, why do I want to watch all these movies with these hot women in them when porn is free? And I'm just like, the hot chicks don't land in the pornos. And also, believe it or not, there is something to be said for class and cinematographers that are working for Hollywood in their most egregious explicit scenes are still trying to do it in a more artful way than the best pornographer. Like, there is a difference, and that's why you think they're hotter, is because more care was taken, essentially. Honestly, I'd be cool if the boy wanted pinups, and when he doesn't share a room later. Yeah, but, like, even his little brother was old enough to be around that in my day. Bombshells dropping bombshells. Beating off Titanic. Oh my goodness, I was in the theater when that scene hit, and my mom covered my eyes like she didn't know the movie was rated R. It was... I didn't even want to see it. She's not that hot. And that might be like, oh, RM lives in Florida moment. But I didn't think she was that hot, man. I didn't really care. I just thought it was funny that my mom was covering my eyes, because I didn't want to see it either. She was bushed up. Not my thing. Yeah. Man, can we talk about the tags you would run into here in my day. Like, we had clowns. That's a tag you would run into. Obviously, you would run into Claude. You would also run into you would run into that. You would run into other words. You would run into that. You could find all of that. Like, there was more. You could find all of this very readily. You could find all of that very readily. I still haven't seen the whole movie. I keep falling asleep during the intro and wake up at the ending credits. I mean, that's the correct way to watch that movie, waifu. It ain't great. Was porn just more varied, or am I yelling at a cloud? It was more varied. It was absolutely more varied. How many of you know the truth about the Baptist Church? Because we're going to get a little politically incorrect here. Southern Baptist, I mean. Southern Baptist. And what I mean by that is, there is still a clientele, at least up to a few years ago, there's still a specific clientele. There's a very specific clientele that buys physical porno mags and physical DVDs. Can you guess what that clientele is? Gay black men. The gay porn belt statistic. Except I saw it firsthand. But yes. I didn't know that was a well-known thing. But, I love seeing what Zoomers know and what they don't know. But it's because, the reason they don't get it digital is because the penalty for that clientele getting caught is a severe physical beating. You've never heard of this? Most people haven't. I had an old man ask me for physical stuff because he likes the feel of something in his hand. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm not reading the rest of that. But no, if they get caught with this material in their Southern Baptist homes, they get physically beaten. So remember that when you're talking about people who are willing to go and do naughty things, you can tell a lot about what happens to the people who get caught by the demographic, by what they feel okay risking. So a lot of people in that demo, they'll come buy a dirty magazine and like enjoy it there and then discard it, and it never goes home with them. Like, they're that careful. Well, that's why there's a higher percentage in that demographic of having a beard and being on the down. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. But yeah, that is a thing. That is a thing. There's very violent retaliation for that in some demographics. And you gotta remember that when you walk into a store like that, it's like, how is this still selling? Because someone's buying it. And sometimes the answer to why is a bit dark. But so Fansly is a big sponsor of Offkai this year, and they are in the main hall. They are in the main hall. I'm going to try that again and do better. And it's just a big old booth with their logo everywhere. There's no adult content on display. But I have a problem with that. There is a difference between adult content and sexual content. These are not equal. They often go hand in hand, but there are plenty of adult spaces, and there used to be more. And we'll get into that actually. Adult spaces. This is circa 1990. One of those was a steakhouse, like a real steakhouse. I'm not talking about Outback. That's not a steakhouse. That's where you go to get a blooming onion. Everyone knows this. Oh, I have that a little high. Hold on. Hold on. We'll just... You know what? Fuck it. I'll just rewrite it. And I'll readjust the scaling later. Yeah, there we go. So we have steakhouses. Kids just basically weren't allowed. And when I say basically, they just weren't allowed. Like, a steakhouse is not where you would take children. A steakhouse is where you would chat up your mistress where your wife wouldn't see you. A steakhouse is where you would go for a fancy dinner and feel up your wife while you were having your steak dinner. They were kind of sexually charged atmospheres, like at a real steakhouse. Not everybody, but enough people. And you just didn't have kids there. Sports bars were the same way. I want you to think of anywhere where you can't smoke, not because adults can't do it, but because of secondhand smoke. Because when people talk about secondhand smoke, they're mostly talking about the protection of children. Grabbing waitresses' ass. I mean, that's a different kind of bar. Yeah, steakhouse was for adult dates. We're gonna get there, waifu. Because I think the Fansley booth is fine. I think children being allowed in Offkai with or without parental permission is not fine. I think that's an adult space. And that we've forgotten the difference between adult and porno. Anyway, think of anywhere that smoking was removed. That used to be an adult only, that used to be an adult only space. Just straight up. Think of the last places that smoking was removed. What is this? I forgot about this. Oh, Corpse Bride. Oh, no. No, we're not doing Corpse Bride. Let's just go to a completely different playlist. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. So basically, think about the last places, like the very first places you weren't allowed to smoke. You would sometimes see kids there. But you can still smoke in the adult section of Buffalo Wild Wings. That kind of makes my point. I remember a family breakfast spot that had... Yeah. What I want you to think of is the first places that lost smoking versus the last ones. Because what were the last places to lose smoking? It was bars. You know, the kind you never think of children being in. They have the cigarette vending machine. Yeah. I imagine the profit-driven philosophies of many businesses would make many hesitant to limit their potential clientele. Casinos. Very good, Inet. Welcome in. Let's also not forget one thing. The reason children are so prolific on the internet is because of the Child Online Protection Act allowing data collection without adult consent on entities as young as 13. That's why the internet's being sanitized. I think the last place I smoked inside it was in a casino in Reno. Yeah. I was taken to Vegas a lot as a child. Well, that's neat. I wish I could say that was surprising, but that's neat. On that note, should Vegas be a child-friendly space? Should we expect children in Vegas? Do you think we expected them 20 years ago? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Vegas is specifically the adult playground. But it doesn't surprise me that INAC's parents took him all the time. It does not surprise me one bit. Isn't Vegas on life support? Yes and no. It's not for us anymore. Oh, hey, Habby. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. But yeah, we had a lot more of these. Now, again, you got to think of the first places that lost smoking, like the video stores. Because, like, when I was a kid, it wasn't a big deal to go into a video store. It wasn't a big deal to go into a video store, even video stores that have an adult section, and just go in there without a parent and just, like, pick a movie up and then, like, pay in cash for the movie rental and be on with your day. That was not an unusual sight at video rental places. Unsupervised children were actually way more common back in my day. And that's another thing, is that these days you're legally expected, in many cases, you are legally expected to be welded to your kid at the hip. Yes, I remember when you could rent a movie in person. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Saru was a latchkey kid? Absolutely. Yeah. Saru was part of basically the first generation where mom was not expected to be there at all times. But we didn't have a problem with that, actually. I saw my parents in the morning and then after dinner. Yeah. It is today. It is today where you're like, and I'm not going to call it a cultural issue because it's a legal one. You get in legal trouble if your kid gets in trouble and you're not there. Basically never spent time around your family, and now my parents hate me for being distant. Wow. I'm pretty distant with my folks as well. Like, not on purpose. I'm just like, I'm the kind of person where a year can pass and I'll forget it's been a whole year and that I haven't called you. It's not personal. It's just I forget. Once we were on the school bus, we got our house keys. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get the benefit of a school bus. I was schooled out of county, so that was a whole thing. But yeah, we used to let our kids outside and do all sorts of stuff, but it was also a genuinely less dangerous place. I'm sorry, even if it weren't a law, there is a lot of things I would not let my kid do that I did. Not because the activity was dangerous, but the place where it is happening has become dangerous. So it is what it is. But there's also now the legal requirement. Yeah, I remember when I could walk like 1.5 miles home without worrying about getting mugged. Yeah, me too. Even though the 90s were like when they were really, and I should also say the latter half of the 80s is when they were really ramping the stranger danger stuff. I didn't really feel like that was a thing until sometime after the mid 2000s. That's when it really started feeling like the world had gotten a lot more dangerous. Yeah, I walked tons of places. Now, like, one neighborhood over, a kid my daughter's age got yoinked out of her driveway with the parents in the yard. Yeah, like, it's brutal out there. Anyway, we have less adult spaces now. That was my point. It was mellow till after the 2010s. Yeah, but around then, the obviously you can give it or take some years depending on where you are. Like, I imagine LA was unsafe way before my area was. LA was one of those places that was unsafe in 80s movies, you know? Or the wrong area of Chicago. Streaking in chat! The farms where I grew up, all the kids had Varmint 22 rifles. Yeah, my kids do, but, or at least one of them does. But, yeah. Remember how, like, Home Alone 2, he's in Central Park by himself a lot, and you think nothing about it? Wrong area of Chicago, cries a Chicagoan. Ah! I was walking everyone in the aughts and tens, but that's because there was, like, 6 houses and, like, hundreds of acres. Yeah, like I said, it's depends on where you are. But the whole problem I see with this situation is that, and people have correctly pointed out that there's all sorts of fan service and booba and panty shots, and that was JP actually. And yes, you're right. You're right about all of that. I don't think that's a kid-friendly space, and I don't think we should cater to that. I think an anime convention, but Offkai is more than an anime convention. It's a VTuber convention. Yeah, anime was never for kids. And cute girls with bulges, exactly. Where's Potato at? Where's my man Potato? Plaus just summoned Potato. Anime was never for kids. You know how you got anime in my day? You went to the literal tobacco shop that had like 4 or 5 bootleg translations or fan subbed translations. I think Battle Shonen is more so. Yes, but anime as a hobby never was. Like, shonen animation was always for the younger side, but like getting the mere act of getting access to Dragon Ball back in the day was an adult activity that you had to go through adult channels to do. Yeah, Ranma 1/2 written for kids. Give me a break. Right? Right. The anime hobby in the United States. That's what you have to remember. We are in the US. We are in the West. We are in the West. And anime as a hobby was never for children. You can kind of say Dragon Ball, but there was scenes that had to be cut. Yeah, if you know, you know. Yeah, there were other reasons it used to get you ridiculed. Just the fact that the voice actors weren't speaking English was enough for that. Like, let's be real. Let's be real about how kids work. Just the fact that you were watching cartoons where you couldn't understand what was being said, and the Japanese were our opponents in World War II, that was still a big cultural thing in the 90s and the 80s. That was enough on its own. The content didn't matter because everybody who actually had an open enough mind to sit down and watch the content was like, oh man, this is kind of cool. Down to the redneckiest redneck you can imagine. And I mean like blistered neck redneck. You have to read and watch. Sounds like bullshit to me. I mean, Gundam, yes. Darling in the Franxx, no. Oh my god, that show made me uncomfortable. That's because everyone loves a good fight, yeah. But yeah, I don't think kids should be at VTuber conventions. I don't. The culture is very adult, and many VTubers chats are 18 plus, even though they don't do anything lewd. Because we're still getting adult confused with pornographic. because as a culture, we've kind of lost these adult-only spaces. Yeah, I don't think children should be at Comic-Cons either. Absolutely not. I've heard about what goes on at Comic-Con. Like, I'm making this commentary as a person who just, like, does not go to cons, but I know a lot of people who do. I know a lot of people who do, but I'm trying to not, like, really get into the weeds on, like, what goes on at cons. I don't need to know a whole lot of details, because I've been in the hobby for a long time. I quit the hobby before some people talking about tourists were born. Straight up. I quit the anime hobby over 20 years ago, and some of the people commenting about tourists on Twitter are younger than that. Oh yeah, that's another thing about this controversy. You will find a lot of the people that have very strong opinions about pornography are very, very, very young. You are talking to children sometimes. Oh yeah, the cosplay by itself, yeah, sure. Because people who watch VTubers are a bunch of weirdos. That's not it. That's actually not it. That's not the reason. Going to Comic-Con at 15 was one of the best days of your life. I bet it was, Lirio. I bet it was. But I should be able to go to a lot of places and expect not to see kids. And the reason I bring up steakhouses and sports bars is because you know how, like, you'll go to, like, the movie theater, or you'll go to a restaurant, and there's, like, these out of control children that are just ruining it for everybody. That did not happen in the 90s. It didn't happen. And if it was happening for more than a second, the parents were escorting that child out. But there were just a lot fewer children. People did not bring their literal babies to the movie theater. They didn't. That was considered common courtesy. Now you have people bringing their literal babies to the movie theater. You know why that is? Can you guess what cultural phenomenon happened that started having more babies in more adult spaces? You could also... It is really hard to sit in restaurants now. I also dislike how common dogs are in... Yeah, that too. That's just unsanitary and that shouldn't be allowed. I don't care if they're a service animal. I really don't. I don't give a shit. Fuck that particular part of the ADA. Goddamn family. No, but it is the divorce rate. It is the single mother rate. Why else do you think a mom would have a kid in the theater? Because there's nobody watching the kid if they don't. And I'm not saying, oh, single moms are ruining everything. I mean, that's an opinion you could have. That's not what I'm saying. That's not the point. The point is the logistics of children have changed. And that's changing the social expectation of where you should and should not be able to find them. And I believe it's gotten to a point where it's downright inappropriate. That's something you've never experienced, not having a baby in a movie theater. Oh man, it used to be so good. If you can't handle dinner out without your service animal, don't go out. I agree. Same thing with the baby, actually. You know what me and waifu don't do? I am still hesitant to take my children to restaurants. And everybody tells me they're the best behaved children they've ever seen. Or close to it. I still don't take them. Because sometimes they can get a bit antsy. And it harshes the vibe. Also, guys, have you seen the fucking kids menus? Jesus, I refuse to buy my kids shit from the kids menu. As a parent of 3, hard agree with this, but for kids, there's shit I just don't do because I don't have a kid watching, and I can't guarantee something is good to have kids at, right? Kids menus are trash. Yeah, I don't feed my kids from the kids menu. They get the adults menu. Do you know how expensive that is? Do you know how expensive that is? Oh my god. Buying for a table of 5? Ugh. Rope me, man. Seriously, it's like $150 bill plus to take my kids somewhere and eat. Crazy. I just refuse to get them kids menu shit because, like, we're talking literal kid cuisine tier shit in the kids menus right now. That's why my family orders stuff and shares. Yeah, like, you'll get the, like, you know, a kid can really fill up on the chori queso. I'm just saying. Kids can really fill up on the chori queso and unlimited chips. I think raises need to happen because, like, babysitters can charge up to $30 an hour here, and I cannot find a job that... Me and my wife did that math when we had our first child, and we were determining whether or not mom would work or mom wouldn't. And we figured out that that her net pay after childcare costs would be like $1.40 an hour. I'm like, I am not having you work your ass off for $1.40 an hour net to pay someone else to raise my kids. And that's how we decided waifu was staying home. That's what, yeah. I agree. The problem, I was telling my direct report this today. Because she was looking at the wages for starting positions, and she's like, how are people making this work? And I'm like, direct report. Here's how that happened. Okay? Here's how that happened. In my generation, while it was allowed for a while, it was basically the first generation where everybody was expected to have 2 working parents in the household. And once that was the firm expectation, wages adjusted to that. And it didn't take very long at all from that point to nuke the family itself. So now you have wages adjusted for 2 wage earners, but everybody is single. And that's how. How are they making things work? They aren't. But yeah, that's the progression. I was like, okay, everybody has 2 has 2 workers in the family. Wages are going to reflect that now. Oops, divorce rates. So now the wages are all adjusted for multiple earners, but no one's living together. Hooray! I watched it happen in real time. They're on Section 8 housing and food stamps? Yeah, I remember when that was a point of shame, but I can't call it that in this economy. And that's global. Like, as much as people like to meme, we're not doing so bad over here once you start comparing. The problem is, I don't like to compare. I like to be like, people shouldn't be in this situation. And we should do better than that. Because if you got into compare syndrome, which boomers love to do compare syndrome, well, you know, wages over in Europe, you know, they're not even as good as they are over here. You don't know how lucky you have it. You're lucky you're not in Nigeria. Like, well, fuck Nigeria. It's expensive here, and I want it better here. So fuck you. Like, I bet 30 years we'll see people who are dying of anorexia. We had a big anorexia problem in the 90s, though. That's why the whole, like, body positivity thing happened. That was the pendulum swing from that. We had a huge anorexia bulimia problem in the 90s. Fuck Nigeria, RM 2026. Yeah, I guess. I'm just saying. Comparison is the thief of joy, and I want number to go up, but, like, for me. And people like me. Oh, you're like talking like actual starvation, not the anorexia is different than just not having enough to eat. That's a whole different thing, but like we don't have to get into that. The but the main problem I see is like we've run out of adult spaces. And everybody's talking past each other on that one. There's no nuance. By the way, when you see those, God, there's a meme about this. I already mentioned it as an aside, but when you're seeing Twitter drama, remember, half of the people. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But the point is, we ain't got to get into that in the chat. The point is, we don't have adult spaces, right? We don't have adult spaces. And we've tied these two things together in a lot of cases. We've tied this together in places that are like really inappropriate. And I think it's because of how like kids are pressured these days. They're not allowed to really be kids anymore. What the way a kid is raised these days is like kid. All right, let's take this. Actually, let's make this an array because I just noticed I used a bracket. All right, so from like mental age, right? Let's do a mental age array. This is how we treat kids. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 5, 5, 10. Oops, 25. And when I was raised, it was more like 2, 3, 4, 5, so on. But like, we treat them like toddlers, basically, right up to a line, and then suddenly, you're on your own, kid. You're an adult now. We didn't prepare you for this at all, but good luck. Enjoy crippling debt that wasn't explained to you because they took away finance class. Finance, I believe, is still a required course in Florida. Like, compound interest is something you are required to learn before you graduate high school in Florida. Waifu was trying to force me to be closeted. Yeah, even as a latchkey kid, I was still a kid. Yeah. So, back to my main point. I do not respect the argument that you can remove the pornographic connotations from Fansly. And this is kind of what I meant by the adult and pornographic separation. If you get rid of all the pornographic material, the argument is somehow that Fansly does not represent a pornographic company. And I just don't understand that. The logo itself is not pornographic, but it's not something you should be exposing children to. Not everything you're exposing children to has to be pornographic to be bad for them. It just doesn't. This is not an environment. Like, what are they talking about at the booth? No, there's no pornographic material there. You can't see titties. But what are you talking about? What's the conversations here? Are you saying to me that because a kid's not seeing tits, that this is an appropriate place for them to be? I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. I think that's intentionally. I think that's intentionally missing the point. I think everybody knows at some level that that's not appropriate. Like, you really think just because there aren't there's not literal nudity at the booth that it's suddenly okay to put in the 13 plus section. Here's why it's okay to put it in the 13 plus section. There's actually not kids. Not in numbers at this convention. They're actually just not that many, and you can just ban them and the problem goes away. And if there are no kids allowed at the convention, does that mean every adult there wants to see pornographic material? Does that remove the need for an 18 plus section? Or does it remove the need for an adult content section? No! There are plenty of adults who like me, who are my friends, who don't follow me on main because my main account is full of porn. But who do follow me on my Safe for Work alt because it is not. Becoming an adult does not mean you automatically want to see bare ass and tits everywhere you go. And not having bare ass and tits hanging out does not suddenly make Fansly family friendly. And I am beside myself that I have to explain that. Again, there is a 50-50 chance that the person you're talking to online is actually literally a child. Just do not forget that about online arguments. Some people rightfully consider dildos adult. Yeah! I think it's actually wild that you can just go to Target and get one of those in... It's not hidden in any way, shape, or form, but when you go to the register, Cosmo has a cover on it. You know, you ever notice that? Cosmopolitan magazine is required to be covered up, but you can go into the health section of the Target and you can just go buy the dildo. You ever notice that? Strange. Strange. Family planning section. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, I don't buy that argument. I think the actual solution to this is that you just ban this argument. Evanito, who seems to be taking some sort of hiatus because he got rightfully dogpiled for this, but not for the right reasons, was like, oh, it doesn't matter, there's only 10 kids there anyway, it's fine. I love when people take the argument to irrelevance, because if there's only 10 kids going, then at maximum we're inconveniencing 20 whole adults by banning kids from the venue. If kids are not a big deal, then they don't have to be there. Right? That's so close to right. There's only 10 kids, so just ban them. Right. Right. That was his argument. Bro, there's only like, let me put that in quotes, because I just wrote his name and then started yapping. Bro, there's only 10. Lol. This is an approximation. Maybe I put single quotes for that, but like, I'm going to use the approximation squiggles. This is paraphrasing. There's only 10 there, lol. Okay, then just ban them. Problem solved. Now, there's another argument I wanted to address because both sides are right. Both sides are right. Also, I'm going to throw it out there. No one deserved the harassment they got over this. Just in case that wasn't clear. I've posted this several times on my Twitter, but I'll say it here. Literally no one deserved the harassment they got over this. Particularly V-bimbos who just, like, literally caught strays for no reason. Because their booth is unrelated to the Fansly booth, and it is in the adult section. There is literally nothing they should have been pressed about. It's only one phrase on a paraphrase. Ha! I see what you did there. I see what you did there. But yeah, it's not like I dislike Evanito. I don't know him from Adam. I know he's a popular figure, but it's not like I looked into the guy. I haven't looked into the guy, and I don't really care. The statement is what I care about. It's like, if you're going to arguing to irrelevance is a losing argument, because that means the impact of the change is always going to be low. See, that's where I got heated. I don't care what you think. I just don't like the whole, oh, look at these dirty fucking whores. Yeah, I've got news for you. We are the West, and that's why I harped on that earlier. We are the West, and our media is full of dirty fucking whores. We are not idol culture, and I don't understand how people don't understand this. You're in the West. You're automatically the tourist. Like, when we were scraping, and it was mostly military, it was like the military pipeline, like the military members in Japan would bring this stuff over and, like, make the continental US civilians aware of the fact that anime existed, you know, back when we called it Japanimation. And, that's how we became aware of it. Automatic tourists, by the way. Okay? We fought wars for those dirty fucking whores. You better get your shit straight. Yeah. Yeah, my great uncle served in Germany and brought home a huge anime collection. Yeah! Oh, thanks for your streak, Guynak. I didn't see that. Same with you, Saru. Thanks for streaking in chat. No, wait, I did address that. Because compared to your other streak, yeah, obviously you hate me. I just don't stream as much. But yeah, so I also consider it intensely hypocritical of Fansly. So let me just erase this, because that looks weird out of context. What does Fansly? Oh, wow. I just stopped braining. Hypocritical. Oh, man. That's a word I always get wrong. That's gonna send Plaws into a tailspin. If you're a VTuber on Fansly, and you accidentally forget the rules, and you take the binky, and you put it on screen, not even in your mouth, not even in your virtual mouth. Remember, we're talking about a virtual convention. If you put that binky on screen, that binky asset, you're banned. No ifs, ands, or buts. As a platform doing day-to-day business, Fansly cares a whole lot about the mere insinuation that there is child-related content on the site at all whatsoever in any context. Even though Fansly likes to pretend that they have safe-for-work creators, and they really like to push that. It doesn't matter. The same rules apply. No ifs, ands, or buts, but what if the binky is in your butt? That's a super ban. You're not allowed age play of any kind. If you intentionally look too young as your kayfabe, you're gone. Even if there's no obvious childlike elements, if you even LARP a little too close to the sun, you're gone. If you have a loli model, you're gone. But they're gonna put a booth in the main hall in the 13+ section and then act like that's okay? All right. All right. But that thing both sides are right about, before I forget. Before I forget. Uh, these filthy whores are making the whole space adult. Now, the statement itself is wrong, but also yes. I saw a response to this that said, gee, I wonder who did that. You're right. You're right, Omni. You're right. You're right, I need to do that. I heard it wasn't actually in the main hall from somewhere, I think. I don't give that much credence. Actually. Because we're talking about Domain 1, and PR disasters is part of Domain 1, and not being very clear on that is a PR failure. Absolutely a PR failure. And I'm going to address the arguments for what the situation was understood to be because they're teachable. From their own words, it is in the exhibition hall. You've got to, yeah. One of those things is the spaces in a con, because I don't go to cons, but I am in event planning. If they didn't mean that, they shouldn't have said it. Right. The names of rooms in a convention are not loosey-goosey labels. That much I do know about conventions. When you look at the convention floor plan, the exhibition hall is a specific labeled space. And there are not two of them. If there are two of them, they will have labels like main exhibition hall, secondary exhibition hall, and so forth. Or they'll call it something like Artist's Alley. When they have a main exhibition hall, but they don't have enough space to put everything in the same area, so they have to move it to some other part of the building, they'll have a cutesy name for it. All of this shit is labeled. Exhibition hall is the big everyone come look area. That's what I understand it to be. But even if it weren't, it is labeled somewhere as exhibition hall explicitly in their blueprint. I would still like to bring up the hypocrisy of people being fine with the gamer-related... Yeah, like I said... Actually, I'm going to read the whole thing. I would still like to bring up the hypocrisy of people being fine with the gamer-related energy drinks and their large posters of anime baps and feed on all the... Yeah, J-Piss, when he was in here, he brought that up too, and I totally agree. And the solution to that is just ban the kids. Ban the kids. I agree. There are some labels for like Cottontail that I don't think is appropriate to have around children. I think Cottontail's brand by itself is not appropriate to have around children. I'm pretty sure she's one of those creators with a very aggressively 18+ community. Wait a minute. Weren't some creators earlier getting flack just for the mere act of allowing under 18s in their Discord? And that allowing that was inherently problematic? Didn't we just go through that? With, like, Leaflet? And a few others, I believe. Wasn't the belief that merely having a child in a Discord with adults, which I agree with, by the way, my kid recently got into a Discord server with his friends for some other unrelated activity. And I said, if you ever see an adult there, you let me know. You let me know, because that's not appropriate. But yeah, we just did that, right? We just went through that in the VTubing space. We just went through... Oh man, I can't believe you would let a minor into your Discord even though they didn't have access to anything that was explicitly 18+. But Fansly's okay. Is that the position we're taking? Because it seems that way. Let's talk about one of the real reasons Offkai is getting flack. Because it has nothing to do with Fansly. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Actually, I'm going to explain my point here first, real quick. The prevalence of adult content in VTubing absolutely does cause some people to show up in your chat and start demanding when are you going to start your Fansly? Haha, totally joking. But what if? Automod didn't like what I called Cottontail. I didn't see it. Mods! Approve that message! But yeah, it does cause some bad behavior that people would rather not deal with. Kiris. Kiris deals with this. It's a VTuber I know. Personal friend of mine for a long time, actually. We've known each other for a long time. We haven't always been the closest. We haven't always been in touch, but we have known each other for a long time. And she is dealing with the expectation that because she's a VTuber that she does unsay-so content. You don't see caught messages. Neat. Not in mod mode. Give me a second. Okay. Twitch probably blocked it. Jesus. It's an actual ranch name. Oh, yeah! Oh. I know what you're talking about now. The Hewer. Yes, the prevalence of adult content does cause audiences to assume that VTubers who do not do that content do that content. It absolutely does cause that expectation, but they're not, the content creators are not pornifying the content. The audience is demanding the pornified content. And here's how that happens, okay? Do you think Bao is making more money or less money than when she started her Fansly? Do you think she's making more money or less money? More. With or without the mental breakdowns. Now. This ain't about that. We can have a stream about mental breakdowns and how that relates to Domain 1 and business continuity planning and disaster recovery planning. We can have that stream, but that's not today's stream. She broke records. She sure did. Why do you think that is? Hi, Snacks. Welcome back. Not subbing to your Fansly, sorry. I would hope not. Yeah, I don't know about currently. Yeah. And not just in VTubing, but on Fansly itself. On Fansly itself, the number 1 and number 2 slots are what? Out of all the fleshies on the platform, out of everything on the platform, the number 1 and number 2 slots are what? Depending on the month. Well, they're VTubers, actually. I think Bao is the second banana. It's the other one. The Nyan something. No, Melody's not number 1. She's not even top 3 anymore. She barely nope. It's Nyanny and I believe Cottontail? Not Nyanners, Nyanny. It changes every month, but Nyanny is consistently number 1 or number 2. And if she's not number 1, a fleshy is. She is the top VTuber. I think number 1 is a Fansly only VTuber. Yes, that's Nyanny. So is it them that's pornifying the content if they can displace the fleshies on the platform? Or is it the existing audience? I'm just going to answer that for you. It's the existing audience, because only the safe for work sized existing audience funneled from the safe for work platform has the kind of numbers that could ever do that. I have no idea how Nanny did that on Fansly only. That is unique. Everyone else who is big on Fansly and is in the top 3 as a VTuber brought their audiences in from Twitch. And Twitch audiences are orders of magnitude larger than Fansly audiences are. That's why they're consistently number 2, number 3, number 1, is because had to have a past life, surely. I agree. She didn't come out of nowhere. She had to have some sort of, like, well, I'm not going to say she had to, but it's very unusual for that to happen. I'll say that. But Twitch audiences are orders of magnitude larger than your average Fansly audience, because your average Fansly audience is actually very, very small. And the type of content that sussy VTubers, or even say-so VTubers do, is not that different. Almost identical to the content that Fansly creators do. Because if they weren't doing the same thing, those people would be on Pornhub instead. They would not be on cam sites. People will fundamentally misunderstand the cam site model. It is about connections, or at least the illusion of connection, but it is about that. And if you don't have that, you don't have Fansly. Without that, you don't even have Chatterbait. And Chatterbait's the much more lower interaction, pornified, obviously original and predating Fansly, but it is more pornified and more transactional and less close. But you would not have Chatterbait without that dynamic either. You would not have cam sites at all without that dynamic. She can be sitting in her PJs making hentai VA noises. Yeah. The VTuber doesn't even need to be naked. Yeah, and you know what? A lot of very successful Chatterbait models do not get naked. A lot of very successful green site models do not get naked. At the end of the day, they're all chasing the same thing, which is the intimacy. And you can do that without doing any explicit content. And a lot of VTubers are selling intimacy. I'd say as far as Western indies go, more of them are selling intimacy than not, including the ones that people are pointing out as of examples as like how VTubers in the West should be. They're selling intimacy. We are not Japan. We do not have idol culture. When someone sells intimacy, we buy it directly. We don't buy it secondhand the way you do in idol culture. You don't sit on the periphery, you chase. Because we don't have the idol expectations. Like, you have to understand why idol culture exists is specifically because of these problems. And we have just not developed it in the West. Idol culture exists specifically because of the issues caused by selling intimacy. That's why it exists. We're just behind the 8 ball on that. And I think in time, it will self-correct. So, like, this statement is wrong, but the pornification of VTubing, if you will, both sides have a point about that. Those slags. I would say generally the point, the side of, actually, we're not pornifying anything, y'all are all thirsty, is more correct than the other side, but there is definitely some AoE damage for the safe for work non-GFE VTubers out there caused by this phenomenon. But like, this is what we do in the West to all of our idols. Like, if you want to draw idol culture roots back in Japan, you have to take our version and go backwards with that in our society. Anybody remember Christina Aguilera? Does anybody remember what happens to, our Disney kids? Our Disney child stars? Does anybody remember Britney Spears? American idols are always overtly sexualized. We didn't even really start having them, I want to say, until late 70s, early 80s. They literally have timers until 18. Absolutely. Now, I'm not going to say Japan doesn't have that, but I know that we do. Dan Schneider, yeah, the Budweiser girls. Yeah. I'm sorry you don't like that, but that's American culture, and you have brought VTubing to America. That's how that cookie crumbles. Now you're dealing with American values. But my gatekeeping, I'm going to tell you a little secret about your gatekeeping. I'm going to tell you a little secret about gatekeeping. You've got it backwards. Well, it does work, sort of. You can have popular, or you can have control. Pick one. You only get to pick one. And if there's money involved, forget it. The people with the dollars make the decisions. I think people who grow up in the West and consume anime as Westerners think of pre-2000s anime as something that was not a business and was only done for the art. As if these people were working their asses off. As if Gainax was working his ass off. Or, you know, the people behind that studio. For free. With no investors. No investors to please. No corporation to make rich. Evangelion was animated for the love of the game. Is what they're trying to tell me. Or is that's how they act. That's how you newbie fucking tourists act. Every single one of you that's under 30. Well, I mean, the bulk of you. The bulk of you that are under 30. That's how you all act. I'd even say under 35. You all act like, the anime of the 80s and the 90s was animated on the blood, sweat, and tears, and no corporations involved, and it was a pure art form. Free of the influences of capitalism. I got fucking news for you. That was all. Anime was always corporate. From its inception. Do you think 80s Japan wasn't corporate? You want to talk about being a cultural tourist? You think 80s Japan wasn't super corporate? You're out of your goddamn mind. 80s Japan was behind the format wars. Anime was designed to sell toys. Or just be entertainment. Or to sell formats. Are you going to be using Betamax? Laserdisc? There's anime on Laserdisc. The format wars were an entirely Japanese thing. For those of you old enough to remember them. No, I'm using Dynamax. And the parents needed to be interested enough to, yeah, obviously. And yes, a lot of anime over in Japan was for kids. But that's never how that hobby has been in the United States. The people can... There's a reason 80s anime went grunge like it did. There's a reason that happened. Aside from, like, the Globe, the fan service was for the parents in Japan, not America. I get that. I do. But, like, there were legit kids. Like, you know, everybody's culture has their kids' shows, is what I mean. Buy all our playsets and toys. We were doing that here with our cartoons. We were doing that with Star Trek The Next Generation. And that really wasn't a kid's show. It was just safe for them to watch. And there's a difference in that. God, my parents bought me that light up large scale model of the Enterprise D from Toys R Us. Oh my God, that was one of the happiest days of my life. That toy was so cool. It was half toy, half model. Like, it looked really fucking good. I wanted the Dideridex next. I wanted that so bad. I wanted the Next Generation Klingon battle cruiser. I wanted that so bad. Those were good fucking models. Those were good shit. But those weren't kids' shows. They were just things kids were allowed to watch. There's a difference there. Harmony Gold was notorious for editing out fan service. Yeah, and all of the anime that did wind up here was highly edited. And one of the things I notice about your modern day, everyone's a tourist, you're a tourist for disagreeing with me, and you're a tourist for disagreeing with me, and you're a tourist for disagreeing with me. Oh man, when's the last time they watched a fan dub? Because if you want to go back to gatekeeping, you need to learn some fucking Japanese and start fan dubbing, man. Yum, jelly donuts. Cause that's what the early anime consumers in America were at the mercy of, were people who knew Japanese and were dubbing the anime for free and then releasing the anime and the dub file, and then you put those together. And if you were doing that for VHS, it was even more complicated. My name is Ken. Yeah. If you were doing that for VHS, it was even more complicated. You want to go back to that? Is that what you're telling me? Because 80% of you can't go back to that. You don't know the language. You don't know a friend who knows the language. You don't know of a friend of a friend of a friend who knows the language. And there's not enough of you with enough work ethic to do the fan subs. Sorry. We're past that. Maybe you can do it with AI. I hear that's a popular thought now. Just have the AI do it because the localizers suck. But y'all aren't going back to the VLC media player fan sub days. You're absolutely not. Stop kidding yourselves. If there wasn't a fan sub for an anime, you watched it in Japanese, whether you knew Japanese or not. And there were actually a lot of people, there were a lot of teenagers who watched anime that was in Japanese and they couldn't understand a fucking word of it, and there were no subtitles and they just watched it anyway because it looked neat. There were those moments. Oh, I bet you learned enough Japanese. But, you know, your average early adopter anime enjoyer in the States, there were simply some titles. They didn't know what was really going on, aside from the visuals. Okay, back to jorking. Yeah, exclamation mark fish. Once money is involved, once a consumer can make a direct purchase to decide whether or not they are in the hobby. You don't have control anymore. Those early fan subbers, they had control, man. They had control. If they didn't sub it, people who didn't speak Japanese couldn't enjoy it. Simple as. Just straight up. They had a lot of control. Now they don't. Congratulations, anime is popular. And don't pretend you didn't want it that way. All of y'all spent the 2010s wishing anime was popular so you wouldn't be bullied for it. Well, now it is. And it's not a bad thing. Fuck you. You're arguing for it actually being okay for kids to walk by the Fansly booth. But aren't the kids also the tourists? Don't they know absolutely nothing about the anime? You're getting mad at people who have only been in anime for like a year or two and they're only into shonen, but you want the literal kids on the anime con floor? You're fucking incoherent because you're also children. You're incoherent. I did laugh when most other kids thought anime was just Robotech and Voltron. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we all had those moments. We all had those I know more about anime than you moments because there was a lot of peaks and valleys. Like, the amount of anime you had access to was straight up down to whether you had somebody who was interested enough to be a local distributor. Like for real. What are you gonna do, mail order it from Japan? There were maybe 5 people who knew how to do that. There were maybe 5 people who knew how to do that. What, are you angry that Suncoast was one of the first ways anime started getting popular over here because they had a solid distribution channel? Is that what you're mad about? Or the military families? Yeah, Anime Works magazine? Yeah. Yeah. We started getting some solid distributors. Suncoast was one of them. And don't tell me the Zoomers didn't get anime from Suncoast. Don't tell me that. I've had this rant before. Most of the Zoomers complaining about tourists right now, their first anime was on Toonami. Yeah, it was only 1%. Absolutely. Their first anime was on Toonami, and they're here calling people tourists. Give me a fucking break. I got news for you. One of these days, you're going to age enough that you're going to enjoy seeing new people get into the hobby, and you won't recognize the person you are today. You won't. Because that's how it be. One day, you will just be glad that somebody else is watching anime, that the kids are still watching anime. You will be that old. And you just won't recognize the person you are now. Hooting and hollering about, oh my god, the tourists, they like the shonen because shonen's new, right? Shonen's never been the most popular. I grew up during Moe Blob and shonen was never a thing. Woo, I'm still a young hater then. Yeah, sure. And, like, yeah, it sounds like I'm like, oh, I wish these kids didn't get into anime and, like, have these bad opinions about shonen. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying get the fuck over yourselves. That's what I'm saying. I'm glad y'all found anime, too. I'm glad it's popular and accessible, and you can get the fuck over yourselves. It was never your fucking hobby to gatekeep. You are the tourists. Welcome in. Open the door for the next batch. Stupid fuckers. Hey, waifu, are you out there? I could use some water. It's hot in here with all the lights and stuff. Oh, man. It's like... it's like when I had that moment where that kid thought that, the Nintendo 64 Star Fox was the original Star Fox. I didn't chase him with a cane saying, get off my lawn. I'm just like, actually, there was something before that, and it was really cool, and you should play it. I'm sure that would make some people feel insecure and old, and it did make me feel old, but I wasn't insecure about it. It's like, well, actually, the Nintendo 64 version was really fucking good. I could see why you thought that. Should have chased him with a cane. Yeah. Yep. But like, I've got no right to do that. I didn't grow up with ping pong, or not ping pong. I didn't grow up with like pinball arcades. I didn't grow up with Pong. I didn't. Space Invaders was not the newest game when I was a kid. And you know why I had games? Is because the people who Pong was their first game, they decided to make more, and then they made the cool shit that I grew up with. On that note, Metroid 3, man. Whew. Man, what was that crazy, weird shaped FPS arcade game? Always forget the name. It was my favorite game when I was a kid just because it was weird. Was that the one where you were like this like green wireframe kind of tank thing and you just blew shit up? It was kind of weird. But yeah, one of those sorry not sorry moments to anybody who's like mega hype on gatekeeping, but you actually don't want anime to go back to that, and you wouldn't stomach it if it did. You're just in the get off my lawn zone, and you're not even aware of it. You're just not even aware of it. It's not something you can control. It's out of your hands. Because let me tell you something. Let me tell the woke portion of the anime audience something. If gatekeeping worked, if fan gatekeeping worked, Cinna Breyer would never have been the voice of Woke Lamat. It wouldn't have happened. The wireframe tank game was goated too. Yeah, it was. It was. It was. Like, everybody thinks gatekeeping always works to their side. It's so stupid. It's like, no, actually people who hate you can also engage in gatekeeping. Actually, they can do that too. Wild, I know. Wild, I know. Tempest, okay. You know what? I've got a good example of this. What is the number one reaction when somebody says, I have never played Chrono Trigger? What's your first reaction? Me neither. Oh man, I've got to do something more contemporary then. Never played Skyrim. Never played Skyrim. Kill him immediately. Well, the general reaction to I have never played Chrono Trigger is, well, you fucking need to. That's generally the reaction. Not, well, I'm glad you don't, peasant. I'm gatekeeping Chrono Trigger. That's never it. It's, why haven't you? You need to. You need to play this right now. I'm sorry your parents didn't love you? Dude, the people who have never played Chrono Trigger, their parents have never played Chrono Trigger either. We are that far. That's how old that game is now. Waifu, don't tell me that. You have not gotten to the good parts of Chrono Trigger. You straight up haven't. You have only played the worst parts of Chrono Trigger. Like the first 30 minutes. How has your first week into gaming been? But it's generally excitement. Like I know you guys are playing with me a little bit. It's generally excitement. It's like, why haven't you played this game yet? You can't tell me you've never said, why haven't you played this game yet? You need to play this game right now. It's almost never, well, I'm glad you haven't, peasant. But that's how anime people are. You know why that is? Oh man, I'm about to be real rude. I'm about to hold up a mirror in front of a lot of you. Here's why. People got into anime because it was the outcasts' hobby. And they wanted to be near other outcasts. And what they're actually mad about is that the people who enjoy the thing aren't outcasts. They're not a fan of anime. They're a fan of having a group identity around being an outcast. That's what they're mad about. The popular kid is not allowed to like the thing I like. They're bitter. Because they weren't bullied enough. Normies this. Newbies that. God, normies doesn't even mean anything. Back in my day, normies meant somebody who didn't eat ass. Normies meant somebody, you know, who didn't jacket the LeBlue girl every night. God, has that term been diluted? Yes, but I want to show you. Yeah, show, don't tell. Lahu? Exactly. Lahi? Do you know Lahu? I too have jacked it to the Blue Man Group. I think La Blue Girl might be like my generation's. Yeah, but have you seen Boku no Pico? Like it's not that gory or that extreme. It's just like they haven't watched hentai if they haven't watched this. It reminds me of the oppressed group meme from Batman Beyond. Oh wow. I vaguely remember that. But not enough to really get the reference. My first anime book. Yeah. Subbed. But yeah, see, that's the difference between like the video game community and the anime community. The MTG community is a lot closer to the anime community, and it's for the same reasons. That was the outcast hobby. Ew, girls! Remember that? Oh no, there's a girl in the MTG group. And let's be fair. 99% of them were not there for the game. At least back in my day. I'm sure that's changed. But that really just was not a thing in 5th edition. That was not a thing in Portal. That's how I feel about Eroge H. Oh, I can't even say that, and I'm not even going to attempt that. The new Boku no Pico is Kuro Ino. Yeah, you're right. Kuro Inu's kind of tame, though. God. Lucy hyped the shit out of that as, like, the watermark for something. And, you know, like, I haven't watched porn in a dog's age. Like, not really. Because waifu's just that good. Like, not so humble brag. She's just that good. It's like, I just stopped watching porn. I'd just rather wait for waifu to be available. It's just not even arousing anymore. And that was before the porn arc. I was just like, fuck. Just, why settle? It does cover a lot of different kinks, but it's not that bad. So yeah, like she was talking it up, and I just watch it one day and I'm like, man, this animation's really shit. I thought that's what she liked about it. Like, this animation's awful. It's like, like Looney Tunes 5 frames a second kind of, you know, after they cheaped out. I was talking about mine. I want everyone to watch it. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, so does Kuro Ino. It also covers a lot of kinks, but it's just whatever. I won't say it was like significantly worse than any of the other hentai I watched in the 90s and in the 80s, but it wasn't special. Does it have pissing? I forget. Like it has, you know, the orcs, they non-consensual the elves. I don't know what John Twitch will allow me to say, but it's like, the orcs did awful things to the elves, and non-consent's involved, and there's latex. Oh, that's some vanilla shit. Yeah. You know, like, not to hate on anybody. That's not the point. That's not the point. It's just like everybody has their generations. Oh, you didn't watch. You're not a real hentai watcher if you haven't seen this. But then they'll flip and turn around and talk about gatekeeping. The best hentai is Wakfu, like the actual show. Dude, Wakfu was so good. The smug cover duck was so good. That was so good. The fucking spa scene. That was so great. If I see that duck one more fucking time, like, that duck was a meme for a while, and now it's hard to find. Like, if you go searching for it, it's actually hard. It's getting difficult to find it. The smug ass duck. Yeah. What was the elf called? Emilience? Something like that. And then there was the grass tentacle queen. But the point is, y'all all tourists. Now welcome in the next wave of tourists while you're touristing. And we can repeat this cycle forever. Get over yourselves. Get over yourselves. That's what this is really about. What this is also actually about is some comeuppance from Offkai's other activities. I'm using the curvy Fs. Fuck you. Offkai has had some past controversies that include deplatforming and actually sabotaging a performance. And wouldn't you know it, 99.9% of the people bitching about the Fansly booth are people who like the VTubers that were on the wrong side of this shit. How about that? How about that? That said, Offkai is not in the clear. I think if you are going to allow minors into your VTuber focused con, which I think I have made perfectly clear I don't think is the right move, then you are obligated to have Fansly somewhere else. And so is Fansly. Fansly as a platform makes it very clear that they don't want to be within 40 miles of children. I feel like this is just another form of a certain creator who normally supports sex work calling Shoe on Head a slut to demean her. Yeah, it is kind of like that. Why did you send that as a mod alert? Were you trying to tell me on Could you you can text me. You get past D&D. You can get you can get you get past D&D. You can just text me and this will go ding and I'll be like, "Oh wow, the phone dinged on D&D. Who is that?" All right, so yeah, I'll go to the BRB screen. I'll take a piss break. It'll be fine. We'll get back to my rant. And I'll turn the music up. Perfect dark time. Alright, chat, we done pissing. We done pissing. We done gonna pee. Erm. Yeah, I'm looking at the screenshots. I come in peace. I'm peace. Oh, tip. Oh, wow. Okay. That's, that takes me back. There's Cover Duck. Hold up. Hold up. Oh, I gotta save it first, I guess. There we go. Also, while I'm here. Oh, Cover Duck is being covered. There we go. That fucking duck, man. It's the duck. Love that duck. That duck's iconic. That smug motherfucker. One of my favorite arguments during this whole thing, favorite in like a bad way, was the people being like, these hewers are preying on lonely young men. And like, you think your Oshis aren't? You think your safe for work Oshis aren't doing that? Good grief. Like, what year is this? I literally just did the it's the current year meme. But seriously though, what is the typical audience for any VTuber at any say-so level? Young lonely men every time. That's the bulk of their audience across the entire landscape. Across the entire niche. Furthermore, all I'm hearing is skill all VTubers. Furthermore, taking advantage of? Really? I'd say the safe for work GFE streamer is doing that more than the Fansly streamer. What about the 2% of lonely women? What did she mean by this? Are you including yourself in that 2%? God, you're such a sex pest. Because I know when I was a teenager, viewing that content was a very deliberate thing. Was a very deliberate thing. And I can tell you, between safe for work GFE VTubers and porn stars, one of those groups directly engages me to farm my feelings more than the other. I'll let you guess which one. I'll let you guess which one directly engages my emotional state and tries to connect with me as a person more often. Oh, wait. That's the safe for work good examples of the industry, isn't it? Oops. But no, they both do it. They both do it. I don't understand blaming the 18 plus workers for that. Because that's the entire Western VTubing scene. Furthermore, it's an oversimplification. Like all of it, like that's Asmongold's audience, isn't it? Is Asmongold a sex worker now? Is that where we're at? Oh, because of who your audience is, that means you're preying on them because you're naked and Asmongold isn't? He is for Kirsche anyway. Isn't that also Hassan's demographic? Is young lonely men? Actually, I probably shouldn't go there. That actually could end up pretty dangerous. That could actually end up pretty dangerous. I forgot he's been accused of some things with some youngins. Whoops. I'm just saying. And yeah, I've been on record with this. I want to say 3 years now before I was ever banned in any chat. That the sex workers I knew, the ones that were on, you know, Fansly before VTubing was a thing, the ones that were on Minivids or Chatterbait before VTubing was a thing, were all more well-adjusted than the average VTuber is. And understood how to treat their audience like adults. Oh, there was a... Lumi said a thing. Lumi said a thing. Should I pull up that clip? Should I pull up that clip? Music's still a little loud. Should I pull up that clip? That... Oh, man. Oh, man. See, she said some shit. She said some shit. I loved it. I loved it. Because... Oh man, you can tell she wants to say some names. You can tell she wants to say some names, but she don't. Oh my goodness. Or you could just go check it out at Low Effort Clips. That's right. Oh man, that Lumi clip is so good. It's so good. You know what? You know what? Fuck it. I'll do it live. I'm gonna pull that up. I'm pulling it up. I'm pulling up Lumi. I'm pulling her up. Let's see. Let's just get it. Let's just get it pulled up first, and we can worry about. Oh, geez, it's right there on my FYP. Okay, yay. We're gonna go to theater mode. We're gonna go to the tabs. And we're gonna, yeah, there we go. Okay. Let me pause the music. I think I also need to have this on, or actually, where is it? It should be captured audio. All right, it should be captured audio now. We're gonna transition to that again to make sure. Let me know if y'all can hear this.
Hi, it's me, Lumi. Okay, yay! I've been thinking about this a lot, but a lot of the VTubing industry is really unprofessional. I think it has to be said at some point because they just, I mean, I think everyone knows, but a lot of people don't say it because they're like, oh, well, then they'll be mad at me. It has to be said. Lots of VTubers in this industry, not professional.
She says while showing flesh
like
hands.
Digging its own grave. Just gets worse and worse. I feel like it's getting so dumb. Because then you get stuck in this loop where you're not allowed to call anyone out. But then everyone has this weird behavior that is not great and people don't appreciate. And nobody can say anything. I was upset by Twitter, as usual, because I hate Twitter. It's like this constant downward spiral of just bad behavior.
This is what happens when one idol culture meets the other and one... Chat, has there been a recent situation where one culture is having some problems with another culture, but that culture feels powerless to speak out about the other one for cultural norm reasons? Actually, no, that never happened. Let's keep going.
Behavior, and then nobody ever checks anyone on it. The reputation of VTubers is getting like fucked over because bad actors all over the place. You're a disgrace to VTuber kind. I mean, I think people have to learn. It really feels like these days nobody thinks about their actions anymore.
Tubing is
me
dead.
too.
Long live tubing.
Long live VTubing! If only they put in as much effort as content. Yeah, and then the other thing I noticed, I've been thinking about my own content recently. I really have.
On effort, I loved the people going around saying like, oh man, you're only popular as a not safe work creator because you can't hack it as a safer work creator. You can't put in that effort. Buddy, I got some news for you. There are posts all over CGP about people like you who have tits that also think that way. Being like, I'm naked on cam, where are my viewers? I don't understand. I don't stand where my viewers are at. I got naked, I'm hot. And they're usually not wrong about those two things. I got naked and I'm hot, what's the deal? I thought the money happened at this point. They find out the hard way.
Something that bothers me is that there's a reason why the OG unk streamers, like the OG guys, do so well. And it's because most of them treat their chats like adults.
We're gonna back that up. I want to hear that again.
And it's because most of them treat their chats like adults.
Imagine having said that before. Who said that before? Oh man, I can't think of who said that. I can't think of where I've heard that before. I'm sure I'm sure I heard that from somebody in this group at some point. I just can't remember who.
I don't know when this happened. I think everyone saw Hololive blow up and Gura, and they were like, oh my god, I'm gonna be like that. But then nobody stopped to think about what that actually meant. And so a lot of VTubers just kind of do the same content, but they don't really treat people like adults. They just kind of treat them like...
Man, who does that? Who treats their audience like children? I just can't think of anybody at the moment. Man, chat, what is she talking about? Maybe she wasn't cooking as hard as I built up. Maybe she's not cooking as hard as I built up. Oh, you have a list. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I guess you're the unprofessional one then. You have lists. Man, I wonder who she's talking about.
Children. And so then you get like weird interactions, and then people get upset about it, and then another loop. I don't know, there's not as much thought in VTuber content. It really just feels like it's propped up by the media a lot. Like the model, you see cute model, you click, but then the content also has to be there, and like the thought behind it, and then the prep that happens after the thought to like pull it all together. I think I do a lot.
I see what she's saying, and you know, she's been here a while, and she knows what she's talking about, but like me personally, I've never just clicked because hot model. Does that make me a tourist, chat? Is it a tourist opinion not to click into a VTuber stream just because the 2D waifu looked attractive? Am I missing the whole point?
Out of that, but I think I can exemplify better, maybe? I don't know. I'll be honest, like 90% why I watch a VTuber is the voice. I feel like the industry, it's very privileged because most VTubers have nice voice. So you start with this huge buff, but then you end up doing so much harm to yourself and everyone else.
She did the survivor's bias thing. We're privileged because every VTuber has a nice voice. I wonder why every VTuber has a nice voice.
I don't like it. Being just a girl does not longevity make. Yeah, and then you know what happens when you're just a girl for a little bit is that after a while, you're not the newest, shiniest girl anymore, so then you have to think about new ways to find more relevance.
Lumi's talking about the digital wall. I thought that was something only red pillars talk about, but she's talking about the VTubing wall. She's talking about VTubers aging out. That's crazy.
And then you end up in this slop hole of doing weirder and weirder things, and then you burn out and then leave forever.
Everyone hates their voice
snacks. It's not a good model for like business. I think it's just so accessible. Because as a girl, usually if you have a camera, you have to be at least pretty. And then if you fuck up as a real girl, you have to take consequences for your actions.
only unbased part of this take, I have very rarely seen actual consequences for flesh tubers. I'm sorry. That's the only L part of this take. It seems to be a pretty consequence-free space, if you ask me.
If you fuck up as a cute VTuber, you delete your account, move on. Probably show up somewhere else, actually. You don't need to quit. That's the problem. We don't have accountability. So there isn't professionalism. I don't know. I just feel like the longer VTubing continues.
I don't think being able to re-debut is why there's no accountability, because there's plenty of people who haven't re-debuted and should have been accountable and have not been. Just like the fleshies.
And I don't think it's gonna go away at this point. I really don't. I don't think it's gonna go away. But the longer it continues, the more people have to try and be at least somewhat professional, because it's just getting worse and worse. And everything's just so shit now. It's really annoying. I've been doing this for 5 years.
So sad how that one dude who fucked all those chicks totally disappeared because of the consequences. Yeah.
I feel like I've seen it all. You have to be a streamer. You have to learn how to stream. Not just, oh, put on model, done. I'm saying this because I've been looking at it recently and I feel like maybe there is a future, but unironically, not the way the industry is going. For a while, I was sitting there like, maybe the problem is that I am a VTuber. Maybe I don't want to identify by that tag anymore. But I don't think that's the right way to move. I just have to establish that I'm not that. The culture issue? Yeah, it really is. It is a culture issue. Well, here's the thing. If I want to have any change on the industry, the way to do it would be to be what I want to be, instead of just getting mad at things that I have no control over. And so...
Man, what kind of VTuber gets mad at things they don't have control over? I've never encountered that.
That's the goal moving forward. Because if the only way to stay relevant within standard VTuber rules is to go Gooner or go React stuff, then...
Caught. I'm not even a VTuber and she just called me the fuck out.
I think I'm gonna look elsewhere. I think I'm a content creator and that's fine. I don't have to do those things. Yeah, it's either that or it's like drama or it's like... There's 4 ways to go in VTubing. Drama, Gooner, React, or subathons. Unironically, that's how you grow. I can't do it. I really can't do it. Or politics. I don't think I can do any of those. I can't do it. I don't have it in me. I think I'm like a win by any means kind of person, but I can't do that. I don't know.
Win by any means, but I can't do that. It reminds me of that Meatloaf song. Would do anything but love, but I won't do that. It's like, what do you mean you're win at any cost, but there's like these 6 things you won't do? God, she's so cute.
Why the industry went this way? Feels like I'm rewatching
Google
like,
Doggy.
the advent of e-girling on the internet. Oh, I think the thing that people don't
Whoa. Okay, no. That's your second L. You did not see the advent of e-girling on the internet, you sweet summer child. Oh my god. Moving on.
That the weird, like the norms right now hurt your viewers and hurt you more than anyone else. A lot of these fast methods of growing are not sustainable long-term for anyone. Every time someone comes in and goes, ooh, mommy, I get so pissed. For the people who actually want to make content and do this the right way, like, the reputation's in the gutter, man! I just...
Yeah. So she should know better, right? Like, that's not insignificantly younger than me, but if she's 34, she should know better. You know, this is probably one of those things where it's like, I don't think girls understand the men's locker room side of things. I think that they have had the curtain pulled back farther than it was really ever pulled back, because man, e-girls have been around since honestly. It's like I told you guys about like the 140p webcam incident where Hole was shown, like, in dial-up. Like, we're not VTubing on dial-up, but the e-girls were there.
Just broke this piece, yay. Ah! What I have to do is double down on being myself, because with the chat I have, which is again very lucky, I can at least show people that you don't have to do that. I was very unsure of it. I was getting kind of unsure. I think there is a place for me and my content for people who want to watch and not just be placated. I think it's possible. Always double down. True. I've been talking to Sakana about it recently, and he's like a good wall to bounce ideas off of. I was like, what about this? What about this? He said, content is always changing. You have to change with it. And because I was telling him, I was like, I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do this, and this is dumb, and I don't know why I would ever do this. And he was like, well, that's how it is. I was like, you know what?
Oh, by the way, Nero. I'm not going to subtweet you. Do you see the letters? Do you see how many colors are involved in the letters? Can you count how many strokes are in this font? Because to me, it looks like 4, maybe 5. But it's at least 4. What do you mean that's dumb? That's her entire colorway in the text. It's 4. There's a tiny black outline on the outside. But it's white, and then purple, and then the blonde, and then there's a tiny black outline. I mean, Lirio, you're also operating at like a lower resolution than I am. Because of the stream and the picture in the picture and all that. Yeah. Oh yeah, there is a black drop shadow as well. Well spotted, Noodle. So there's 4 strokes and a drop shadow. And you know what? I bet this text will be visible on any background.
And go a different way. And it's gonna be really hard. And it's gonna be really slow. But at least I get to be myself and not fuck up any young people's brains with garbage. And I can be pretty proud of myself for that. Well, what I can do is at least avail myself as...
Are you, I was about to say, are you going to call him a 2-stroke chump? But, you beat me to it.
An alternative. And that's still something. This is so sad. I think we actually really respect our viewers' time, because especially for you guys...
Don't you have at least like 3 colors, Nero? You've got like gold, and then the burgundy, and then the black or the dark ash gray. Like, you could put your entire colorway in this format.
Guys, some of you who have been here for 4+ years, showing up to all my streams over so long a period and not getting bored of me somehow, I owe...
Whoa. Did you just use the word "oh" to longtime loyal chatters? Wrong think.
At least that much to try harder. And I think that's really missing from a lot of the industry today. Is like respect for your time, actually. You clearly don't, since you show up late all the time. Not that often.
This is so cathartic.
Hey, not that often. God damn.
This is so cathartic.
Don't mean to me. It's on cost fallacy. Okay, fine. I see how it is. Long story short, I enjoy Lumi the content creator, not Lumi the VTuber, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I want. I think that's literally exactly what I want. I think I want to be Lumi who is this person, not Lumi who is just identified as VTuber. With the way the industry is going, I don't know how I feel about it. I said I was going to change some of my content up on my highlights and stuff and like make better videos and stuff. I think I have to stop being just VTuber and be streamer. And I hope that other people in the industry realize that too.
Whoa, are the VTubers coming around to the fact that they're just faceless content creators? Is it finally happening? Is it finally happening? Well, at least it's happening for Lumi.
Because with the way things are going, it just doesn't look good. It's not looking great. I've been in VTubing too long. I think I just see more and more problems and no behavior to fix it. I would like to not be in that anymore. That's how things go as they get popular. Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
I was going to stop it there, but no. No.
Everybody, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Low Effort Clips. That's right, Low Effort Clips, right here on YouTube.com. Yeah, and hit the notification bell. Yeah.
Low Effort is so good. Low Effort is so good. I love Low Effort. I love Low Effort. But yeah, that... I was glad I saw that before starting stream today. He's also Mexican. If only Mia streamed model building. But yeah, like imagine Imagine that a VTuber is just a faceless content creator and you could approach it from that way. But like you can't get rid of the First of all, I feel like people overrepresent how long they've been VTuber fans and also overrepresent how much they are fans of the JP market. And then they're like virtue signaling about like all this JP market, JP culture stuff when they're not actually involved in it. And they want the Western market to be exactly like the JP market, but talking in English so that they can live up to like this image they've built of themselves as a JP idol enjoyer. And like, first of all, that ain't true. Second, you're kind of just pretending. Third, you are in the West. So the media is going to adjust to Western values. And as I was illustrating earlier, our idols, insofar as we have them, are all highly sexualized. All of them. That's what that's why the Disney stars end up the way they do. That's what Pamela Anderson was. Like, we literally just call our idols sex icons at the end of the day. Like when media talks about them, they literally say the phrase sex icon. Give it up for hour 3. Are we in hour 3? I guess it's about to hit 10 o'clock. You're right. I probably should wrap it up. I think I've said everything I want to say, but maybe not. I'm going to double check that real quick because like there were some pins. Okay, I got to the Japanimation pin. I got to the adult content not being the same thing as sexual content. Yeah, I got to that. I think there was some stuff here. RM doesn't wrap it up. Yeah, I don't have to. But, it was kind of about how... No, I think I got to... Oops. There we go. I think I got to, the part where I was talking about how adult content creators they tended to be more well-adjusted. But what I didn't get to was how most adult content creators don't want to be anywhere. They don't want kids anywhere near their spaces either. And neither do a bunch of the safe for work content creators or VTubers, because we are talking about a VTuber conference, so I don't really have to say content creators, but like VTubers in general don't like kids in their spaces, and I don't think we should have to tolerate kids in our spaces. But I saw a lot of accusations that like the OnlyFans people didn't care about kids in their spaces. Like they care more than you do. You haven't been in those conversations. You haven't been in those behind the scene talks. You haven't been in those DMs. I have. They care way more than you do. Kids are like an existential threat to their content. The way things currently are. Like, kids being in their space is an existential threat to their content in the way that it's only moderately uncomfortable for the safe for workers. Like, it's moderately uncomfortable for the safe for workers that don't want to be around kids, but it's not existential in the way that it is for adult content creators. And kids are an existential threat. I did say I'd be clipped out of context today, so there is that. Well done. So yeah, I did want to get to that. And then yeah, we went over how like the names of all the people who are mad at Offkai for the Fansly thing are also really mad at Fansly for other reasons, and those Venn diagrams of the people involved in that make a perfect circle. Very coincidental. And I think one of the reasons that VBimbos was attacked was because of this slide. And I think these filthy whores are making VTubing pornified is how they excuse those attacks, because they don't, most of them don't actually care about that. That's not an argument that holds water if you look at it for more than 10 seconds. And I did say there were some people who are inappropriate to VTubers because they think that all VTubers do that content because the bulk of them seem to be doing that content, but that is a demand-driven change, not a supply-driven change. But they hide behind this phrase so that they have this excuse to attack people, because without this phrase, without this idea that it's the whoer's fault that VTubing is in a state that they don't like, they just really don't have any justifiable reason to care about what they say or think, much less to attack them. So this is kind of the thing where, like, oh, you don't accuse a person of being horrible because you think they're horrible. You accuse a person of being horrible to justify attacking them. I think that's what's in line here. And on that note, when it comes to the domain 1 considerations for all of this for Offkai, I don't think this is actually bad for Offkai, because I think the people who are complaining the loudest about this are not people who were going to go to Offkai anyway. They're already mad about the Kirsha situation. They're already mad about the Pippa situation. They're already mad about other stuff staff has been caught saying and doing, and, you know, they're already mad about that, and they're already not going, and they're already not spending their money. So, like, from a business perspective, I don't think Offkai cares. I'm pretty sure Fansly doesn't care. It's still way hypocritical for Fansly not to care. I stand by that. Fansly has no business having the policies they do, and then accepting being in a 13 plus setting. And I don't buy any reasoning that suggests that you can take the adult meaning away from the Fansly platform just by removing explicit images. That doesn't work. Fansly is just the name, just the logo. That is an adult platform. That's like talking about Debbie does the dishes around children. They can't see Debbie does the dishes. You're not showing it to them, but it's probably not an appropriate thing to bring up around kids. And VTubers were just complaining last week or the other week, or was it a few months ago? It lasted for a few months about how any VTuber that lets a kid into their Discord at all ever is an evil person that needs to be run out of the space. So it's really weird that it's justified now. But I already went over that. That's actually a loop. So we're gonna close it out here. We're gonna close it out here. I've gone over everything I wanted to say. That's my take on all of this. Adults need more places to be adults. And I would say that even goes for spaces in public. And we're way too comfortable. We're way too comfortable letting children be wherever it is physically okay for them to be. And things don't need to be like that. Things just don't need to be like that. You do not have to accept kids into a space just because there's no explicit porn there. And I think the fact that that's becoming confused and muddled is actually quite concerning. I think the fact that that's getting confused and muddled is creepy in its own right. Because what you're saying is it's okay for children to be in adult spaces as long as there's no explicit porn in that space. And I don't think that's ever been a safe idea. I don't think people genuinely believe that. And I think that they betray behaviors all the time that tell us that they don't actually believe this. Like, ask their opinion of kids being at a Catholic church. And I think they'll 180 on this. I absolutely do. There are fewer places for kids to be... That was awkward wording. Pornographic content and places kids should not be are not a perfect Venn diagram. Fansly being okay because it's not explicit is like saying math lectures on Pornhub is great learning material for kids. Yeah. Yeah. The context of the platform matters. It matters a whole lot. The purpose of Fansly, despite their protestations, is to serve explicit adult content. And they can never run away from that. OnlyFans tried, it nearly ruined them. OnlyFans tried to run away from that. It nearly ruined them. It's why Fansly is a platform. It's why they have any purchase. It's why they have part of that market segment is because OF fucked up. That's why they're even a thing. So, yeah, that's my take on it. I think people are being absolutely unhinged about this. I think, however, that any reasonable business person could have predicted that reaction. I think they did predict that reaction. There's no way you didn't. You would have to be, well, I shouldn't say there's no way. You would have to be extremely out of touch not to realize how inappropriate that is for a lot of people. I think what they're counting on is the fact that their customers, by and large, do not care. And that might give you something to think about. That might be the thing to think about. Well, I think your beard is full and luscious. Thanks, man. It's actually kind of scraggly right now. I didn't get to brush it today, but I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. But, yeah. It's time to say goodnight because it is 10:07. And it is time to go. Night, everybody.